Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of Tips and Tricks for Building, and today I will be covering terrain and nature. As you can see, I've prepared some things for you again today, and we'll start off with rocks and walls of sort. First of all, this is just a straight rock. Just give it some movement, give it a little character. Mostly you want to make it one whole movement, not completely random like this, but give it like, for example, give it like something like this, a little scooping half circle. It just makes it way better, but I think this is the basic thing everybody knows. First of all, mix with colors. Like this stone brick matches very good with these textures and colors. I've actually prepared some stone gradients here. Acacia wood is also a very good dark color of stone. It's very grayish and it fits very well with that. Here's some other things. You can even use wool in your builds. Here's what I like to call the special blocks to give, I don't know, a little bit special texture, otherwise it's so blunt. This is all one color, but these cobblestone just pop out of it. It just gives it a little more character. Here we have some more rocks. Diorite is a very good block, and granite, which you can mix very well with earth and dark brown colors, which I usually put on the top of my mixtures of buildings, so that it can very good blend with the dirt of the grass. Yeah, second of all, blend it all together. It just gives from dark to light, and just this I start here with the granite to start matching with the dirt textures. And also don't forget the special blocks, gives it a little bit more character. Over here we got the top of a building / cliff, and as you can see, I've not used grass blocks, but I used green concrete powder because it looks very much like this grass texture. Now, how did I make it hang over it? I mean, it falls. Well, first of all, I created the outer lines of where I want this to hang. Then I get some string and put it under here, and then I replace the blocks with the powder, and now it looks like it's hanging. Now it looks like it's hanging off the cliff, and I've actually used it all together to make a little piece of terrain over here. I've also used a lot of stairs and slabs, as you can see. It gives just so much detail. First of all, down here is a little beach, which I will come next to, and here is the acacia wood again as the darker color. Then it starts with stone. Here it already starts to mix with andesite. Here it's andesite. Here I used some light gray concrete powder to start mixing with the diorite. And then over here the diorite starts becoming granite, and that becomes more brownish, and ultimately it starts to become the dirt until you get on top. I've also added a little greenery and a little water. It's very nice. Let's get on. As I've explained over there, it very much relies on block textures and gradients. For example, here are some nice paths. These blocks are all very brown and match very well together for a very dirty, old school medieval kind of path. Here we have a more civilized path with more stonish things. It looks quite walked over, and somebody put gravel there or something. And we also got some wood textures here. I even used the beehive stop here, which I also used in the interior building tricks. I really like that block a lot. Next we're gonna start talking about textures. For example, this is just a regular floor. If you want to give it more texture, just add buttons and pressure plates and carpets. It really gives a little bit of dimension. If you really want it to look wrecked and old, you can even add slabs in the ground to make it look like there's some holes or some cracked floor over here. And as I earlier told you about the cliff there, here is a little beach. I mean, many people do not decorate their beach, but now that we have the smooth sandstone, it's actually just a different textured sand which mixes very well together. I also use stripped birch wood on the edges here to make it to give it some kind of feel like water has washed it off. You can even add some greenery over here, just like that. Just place some sand over here and some sugar cane and some lime carpet over it so it stops it from growing. You can also use string, but I personally like the lime carpet, gives it a little bit more color. You can also use bamboo, put some string over that so that won't grow any further. Well, that covers it for the stone and textures, and let's go on to the next subject, trees. This is like all very common. I maybe will in the future make a more detailed episode about trees and sand or something, but for now this is all really just nature in common. First of all, branches and roots. You can see here I made a little palette to make it goes from high to small, which I used very much under here. You can even use brown carpets, though I think it's just a little too much, the brown carpets. Up here I used the spruce trapdoors and slabs very much for branches. This is just some old dead tree. Next on to the leaves. I make sure you mix them with other kinds of leaves. It looks really good, just a small little tip, just gives it a little extra flair. You can also use any other colors for your trees to make it look a little bit magical. With glass, for example, you can make a really good pink tree. If you just put some blocks in the air, it gives this really magic effect, like some magic aura around it. Next we're gonna start some tutorials on some little trees. For example, here's just a little futuristic little tree, also showcased in the interior episode. Right over here we got actually a bigger sort of tree. This is very standard. As you can see, it's not really random, it's like really trimmed. I also use these oak fences on top to give it a little extra point on top, so if you would move that away it's also good, but I like it. It gives it a little extra pointy look. Next we have a similar kind of tree, but more random and chaotic. It just looks more like it's wild, and that looks more trimmed. I used some I put some oak fences in between to make it look like some branches. Also the oak fence on top again. Next up we're gonna start doing some tutorials so you can build these trees yourself. So first up, this little tree. We use this just a normal standard tree. First of all, we start getting a really basic shape of the stem, just like this. This will be the basic shape of the tree. Then we will add some roots to it, which showcased earlier here. Just give them some roots, just wrap it all around here. Maybe another big root over here. Put some on the ground. Here also. I'll use some slabs to fuse these two pieces together, otherwise it's like really thin over here, you see. Next up, I'm gonna start doing the branches. For these branches I actually used some spruce fence, as you can see over here. I think those are also really good fences for This is like a smaller kind of tree, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that thing with all the branches here because it would be very big, a little too long for the video. Just put some branches around. Then you just start covering these branches all up. Pop, pop, pop. Just all over these other. Just make sure no branches are left free. You can also let some of them free, but this tree I don't let them free. Now once you got it all covered up, you're gonna start building the shape of the leaves. Just like building some big shape. Make sure it's big because the roots here are very tough, so you don't want this stumpy looking little tree over here with way too heavy support for such a small batch of leaves. You want to make it look really big. Even here was a little too small for these roots over here, but let's make this one a little bigger, shall we? Bigger, bigger. Now, I made this video because in my survival world, from Survival with Friends, I started building on my base, and I thought a lot of you people would like to know how to do some terrain like that, so and later I thought I'll just throw some trees up by as well. I hope you guys like it. After you've made the shape, you're gonna wanna make some kind of leaves just dropping down. You don't have to do this, but I like it. It just gives this over-sphering idea feeling. Well, this is the first tree. Now the second tree is some pine tree. First of all, we get some of these logs. Make a little root over here. This one's not too big of a root. Like that. I'm gonna grab some leaves and the spruce friends. You can see I used that technique again with the top of the tree. Just make a really long tree, maybe a little longer, and some spruce friends on top. And then first of all, what you're gonna do is you're gonna wrap around like this. Just wrap all the way down. Once you get more closer to the ground, you want to start adding more leaves. Almost there. Now once you're back on the ground, you don't want it to touch the ground. You want to leave these roots free for people to see. Then you're gonna want to add some more leaves to this spiraling leaf thingy you made here. Just try to cover up this big branch as much as possible. You don't want it sticking out too much. Maybe in the opposite direction, spiraling back down. Once you've done that, you want to start working on the shape of the tree. Now it's really weird looking, and you want it to have some kind of pyramidish feel. So let's add more down here. Just like that. Maybe remove some of the top here and replace some of these big branches with leaves. Yeah, that's already starting to look a lot better. You can see the pyramid shape forming here. Maybe just make a little few loose leaves so it doesn't feel like very smooth. We want it to look a little wild. Yeah, that's good. Well, we got ourselves a pine tree. Next on to the last part, or end the video with 1 or 2 tips or tricks. If you're making bushes, and you can add these rose bushes, just make sure to put them 1 block deeper than the bush itself to give it some kind of color. Otherwise they're just plain old bushes. and this just gives it a little more character. Just make sure you dig down one deep, place them right there and cover it up. If you cover it all up with leaves, you won't see it's one deep. Also, for example, if you have a little path over here and you want to place some leaves on the side, you can also put some of these down there, and when you're walking down the path, it just gives that far foggy flower effect on the side of the road, you know. You can also do this with sweet berries, but they have to grow first, and I prefer these because they have a more lighter color. Anyway, that was my video of terraining and nature, and I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next episode.